What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 317.1, a recap of the IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio with Elijah Poe's reaction with guests Dave Chanley, Heather Apt, and Michelle Garmon. Hope you enjoy our new format. This is my new vision of how the Central Indiana Sports Report is going to go.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, IndyCar fans, and welcome to the Central Indiana Sports Report's 10-minute recap of the Honda 200 at Mid-Ohio on Sunday, followed by Elijah Poe's reaction to the race with guests Dave Chanley, Heather Apt, and Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. Before we get to that, please go check out what we're doing at YouTube. I'm learning more every day. We have a new scoreboard behind our audio podcasts. If it doesn't right now, that is coming. And when I figure out all the legal aspects to everything and get all the particulars figured out, we'll have video highlights behind the audio as well. I will get all of that figured out by the time our second official season kicks off early in August, just about a month from now. The first girls golf event, high school girls golf event, is August 4th. The first Colts preseason game is August 7th, so sometime in there will be the official start of Season 2, and we got lots of good stuff coming up for you. Your 10-minute recap begins now.
Scott Dixon trying to win 7 at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou trying to win 7 on the year. Can the master at Mid-Ohio do it? Palou really closes it down. It's down to a car length and a half. They're through turn number 9 for the final time. 0.4 of a second as they work their way through Thunder Valley. Scott Dixon with the advantage, trying to get to victory lane for the 7th time here at Mid-Ohio. We talked about a changing of the guard. Scott Dixon may have heard it and said, boys, not yet. He works his way off the carousel, and Alex Palou will not get it. Advanced Auto Parts, twin checkers, wave, and Scott Dixon takes advantage of a rare bobble by Alex Palou. He goes to victory lane. He wins the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou finishes second. Kristen Lundgaard completes the podium. Colton Herta, Pato Award completes the top 5.
Of course, that is Mark Janes and the talented crew for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network, bringing you the finish of Sunday's Honda 200 at Mid-Ohio. Scott Dixon's 59th career win, just 12 races short of A.J. Foyt's all-time record. Dixon did break his own record with his 21st straight season with a victory. Just unbelievable. As you heard from the crew there, Dixon took advantage of a rare Alex Palou mistake for his 7th career victory at Mid-Ohio. He also won previously in 2007, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2014, and 2019. It was the 7th win in 10 races this season for Ganassi Racing, with Alex Palou winning the other 6. Palou looked like he was on his way to another win on Sunday after a 6-second pit stop with 18 laps left, put him out comfortably ahead of Dixon after everybody's final pit stop. But with 5 laps remaining on turn 9, Palou made actually his second mistake of the race earlier. It appeared like he wasn't paying attention and drove off the road. This time he went into turn 9 a little too fast, went just off course, giving Dixon just enough room to get by, and Dixon held off Palou by 42 hundredths of a second. It was the second closest finish ever at Mid-Ohio, with Dixon's 2019 win over Felix Rosenqvist by 9 hundredths of a second being the closest in the event's storied history. Let's hear from the race winner, Scott Dixon.
Well,
just saw dust, and I'm like, well, going into 9, and I'm like, maybe there's some lap traffic coming, and they kind of went off. Some of the days here, the dust has been kind of lingering in the air, and you see it, and the car's already gone ahead. But obviously went off in 9, so sorry that happened to him. But obviously, I think maybe they kind of slowed down because they didn't need to push. We still had to get a pretty big number, fuel mileage-wise, so we couldn't really attack at the end. So, we'll take it, man. It's cool to be getting another win here at Mid-Ohio. It's definitely a special place for us and the team, and 1-2 is pretty special.
As Dixon mentioned, his teammate Alex Palou was second. He led 75 of the 90 laps. Disappointing finish for Palou, but his third straight national championship and fourth in the last 5 years became even more inevitable today. He now leads Kyle Kirkwood by 93 points and Pato O'Ward by 111, the only two within 150 points of Palou, with 8 races left in the season.
Well, that's a clear example of it's never over until it's over. So, yeah, big mistake, stupid mistake by my part. We were running really good. The car was amazing. The team did a fantastic job on pit stops and strategy. So we were looking really good, but just lost it a little bit. Entry of turn 9, and that was enough to lose like that position in a couple of seconds. So yeah, it sucks.
That was Michael Young on the interviews for both Scott Dixon and Pato O'Ward, again for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network. Christian Lundgaard of Arrow McLaren Racing earned his 4th podium finish of the season. He did it 3 times in the first 5 races, and again today. Colton Herta was 4th. A late problem on a pit stop cost him a podium finish. O'Ward is 5th. Felix Rosenqvist finished 6th, followed by Marcus Armstrong. Then Kyle Kirkwood in 8th. Pretty good result for a race where Kirkwood was pretty much invisible the entire day. Rinus VeeKay was in 9th. Kiffin Simpson was 10th and Nolan Siegel 11th after those two were in the top 5 most of the day. Then it was Callum Ilott, Lewis Foster, Alexander Rossi, Santino Ferrucci, who was penalized and actually drove 2 different cars off of the track during the race. His Foyt teammate David Malukas was 17th, then Stingray Robb. Connor Daly was 19th. He was one of those drivers driven off the road by Ferrucci, otherwise may have had a top 15 finish. Devlin DeFrancesco was 20th, then Robert Schwartzman, Jacob Abel. Scott McLaughlin was the top finishing Penske driver in 23rd place. Graham Rahal was in an incident in the opening laps and finished 24th, followed by Christian Rasmussen, Will Power in 26th, and Josef Newgarden in 27th. The incredibly poor season for Penske continues. Here is Mark Jane with the description of the early incident.
Green flag flies and the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio is underway.
Great jump for Alex Palou. Christian Lundgaard took a look to the inside, could not get in. We got a lot of cars at the rear of the field banging tires, and it looks like Josef Newgarden's miserable season has continued. He bounced off the left side of the wall. We see the green, red, and white machine of Callum Ilott off the racetrack as well. One more car mark at the bottom of the hill. I believe that is Ohio's own Graham Rahal. So you've got 2 Americans beached down at the exit of turn number 4. Graham Rahal and Josef Newgarden.
And just moments later, his teammate Will Power came into the pits with his engine on fire. His day was over as well. Newgarden spoke with Fox Television after the race, but refused for some reason to speak with the radio broadcast. Will Power did, however, express his frustration after the race.
Oh man, tough year.
How do you grapple with just the difficulty, the frustration, and try and reset ahead of the next one?
Well, we're doing that every weekend at the moment. Just every weekend it's something, but people go through these ones. See it all the time. It's just one of those things.
As I mentioned, Alex Palou in clear command of the 2025 championship race with 386 points, 93 better than Kyle Kirkwood. 111 better than Pato O'Ward. Felix Rosenquist of Meyer Shank Racing is fourth in the standings, tied with Scott Dixon, who moves up to a tie for fourth with the win. Christian Lundgaard moved up to sixth with his podium finish, followed by Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, Santino Ferrucci, and Colton Herta in the top 10 as we head to Iowa. Penske Racing has dominated at Iowa in the past, so maybe they can turn things around this weekend. Here's some info on just how bad of a season it's been from the Indianapolis Star's Nate Brown that he reported last week. This is now the 11th straight race without a win for Penske, their longest drought in over a decade. Their sixth straight win without a podium finish, their longest drought since 2013. Susie, going into this race, Penske Racing had their most DNFs already at just the midway point of the season. Today, number 9 and 10.
Wow.
Please stay tuned for Elijah Poe's reaction with guests Dave Chanley, Heather Apt, and Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, IndyCar fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and our reaction to the Mid-Ohio Honda 200. And man, it was a doozy. We all thought it was over. We all thought it was going to be a bit of a boring finish, and then it was not. Elijah, your reaction to Scott Dixon's historic win?
I think we finally learned that Alex Palou and the number 10 crew happened to be human after all. He went off twice today, going off with 5 laps left, let Dixon pass him, and just can't believe it. You're not used to seeing those mistakes from Palou, so when you do, it feels like just absolutely crazy. Great to see Dixon, our third winner of the IndyCar season, and it was a fantastic ending to Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and we're joined now by Dave Chanley and Heather Apt with their reactions. Also, Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. I want to start with Heather, though. Heather is a big Scott Dixon fan, his 59th career win, and we were watching the race, and all of a sudden he was just in the lead there. What was your reaction?
OMG, I mean, the race was pretty boring on my end, at least, besides the Penske drivers crashing out. So whenever I saw the Dixon and Palou go off the track and Dixon pass him, I was like, OMG. And I perked up and I was like, oh, I got to start watching now and tune in because Dixon's my favorite driver. But it was really good to actually see like another driver win and him see, obviously, Dixon. We don't know how many more he'll have left. I assume he'll have at least one more year. But it's good to see him win a race, and especially with his little one Kit there. That was super cute. And then his mom was there, which was super sweet for him. And I just think that it was really good just to see Dixon and his own teammate as well battling for the lead. I just think that was really impressive how they both handled it.
Yeah, and Dave, his 21st year in a row with a win. Unbelievable.
That really is an unbelievable mark, high standard. And of course, when you talk about the greatest of all time, he has to be in the mention along with Andretti and Foyt, and he just is. And you could throw a couple more names in there, but
sure.
Scott Dixon is just a phenomenal race driver. He has been. He's maybe one of the greatest of the past, and he just beat one of the greatest of the now and future.
And Michelle Garmon, in my lifetime, it's always been Foyt, Andretti, Unser, Rutherford, Mears, and now you got to put Scott Dixon unquestionably in that conversation.
Yes. I mean, he's right there. You know, you said that first tier, and that is, and then, you know, you had Dixon, and you had at the time, and you also had Dario Franchitti and everything like that. And I really kind of wish that Franchitti would have continued racing for a while or been more, you know, aligned with Scott Dixon, because I thought those two, you know, in Dixon's earlier career, I thought those two had some good battles.
Crash changed all that, Michelle.
Oh, that's right. And I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say a flashback. A driver who I think, and who Tony Kanaan told me in his interview, who was so talented and had such a bright future in racing ahead of him, was Dan Weldon. And, you know, that was really a shame that he had the crash like he did, because along with Scott Dixon, I mean, well, that would have been another rivalry. I guess we're talking about we had a bunch of Americans, and then you had of the foreigners, and now it's kind of a mix again. But yes, Scott Dixon is the greatest. He will be of his generation. He's the best. He's the best of his
No
generation in that time.
But Elijah, the guy who's coming to be the best, pretty much, if there was any question before today, clinched his 4th championship in the last 5 years. Despite, as we mentioned, 2 giant mistakes today. He ran off the road. Once it looked like he just wasn't paying attention and ran off the road. The second time, of course, in turn 8 there, he just turned in a little too hard and lost a little control. That was the issue. Or turn 9, sorry. It's kind of a mixed bag for Palou. He had another race win in his hands. He blows it, but his teammate wins it, and he's on his way to a championship. So he took it pretty well in stride.
Yeah, even with those 2 mistakes, I mean, you've got to think he's upset right now, and he finished 2nd in the race, 4/10 behind his teammate. At the end of the day, that is really still a really good result. Obviously, he's going to be kicking himself. And the 10 crew did deliver with that last pit stop as well, put him ahead of Dixon. And to see Alex have a mistake is just so uncanny from him. And I'll be interested to see how he can recover heading to Iowa next week with 2 ovals up ahead.
Hey, Elijah, would you say that's the best pit stop that you've seen this year under the circumstances?
Ooh, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was just absolutely rapid.
It was precision.
He got through with even room to have when he was able to exit. It was just unbelievable how the number 10 crew is. Unfortunate, Alex Palou wasn't able to pull it off, but fortunate for us fans to see another winner in the series.
I will agree with that, Elijah. It was time to see another winner. It's great for the series that Dixon wins for more than one reason. For one, it's Scott Dixon and first year in a row. And for another, it gives us a different winner, and that makes it more interesting as we go on.
All right, let's talk about Colton Herta. Did not execute on the final pit stop. Probably wasn't going to win anyway, but definitely cost him a podium.
Still a good day for Colton Herta. Still a good day. 4th place, he got around award for 4th. Pato award. Good day for him, getting up to 5th. Great day for Arrow, 3rd and 5th. Lundgaard is a really good young driver that is somebody that we are going to have to keep an eye on.
Still no Danes in victory lanes, but we will get one day. Yeah, great day for Lundgaard. The other thing was, as good as Pato, or as good as the result was for Pato and really even for Kirkwood, neither one of those guys was ever even mentioned in the broadcast as a threat to win the race, which was a little odd. And of course, we're going to need to talk about Kiffin Simpson and Nolan Siegel, who were up front all day, probably had their best races of their careers, where they were up front for the longest as far as that goes. And still, the results were mixed.
Yeah, you definitely have to feel for Kiffin Simpson, who arguably should have been in that 3rd place position when things were said and done. He was on the same strategy as Dixon, and the hybrid stalled in the pits. And that's been a reoccurring thing ever since the hybrid's been involved in IndyCar for the past year. You see them stall in the pits trying to get out, and it's super unfortunate because he would have had the best result of his young career in IndyCar so far today if it weren't for that hybrid issue.
Tough day for Foyt Racing. They had been doing so well, and today they struggled. And it started yesterday with the qualifications, but they struggled today, and I'm a Foyt Racing fan. They just didn't have it today.
Well, we can't start the discussion on struggles until we start talking about the Penskes. Are they the worst team in IndyCar right now?
The way they finish, it sure does look that way. I'm not sure what was wrong with Scott McLaughlin's car. I'm going to have to read up on that. But he pitted 5 times today and was the only runner that finished a lap down other than him and Rahal. Just absolutely miserable result, having Newgarden seemingly spin on nothing on that opening lap. That was one of the craziest locks I've seen. And Will Power having an issue as well. Just can't get any worse for them.
There's a lot of us fans that are for anybody but Penske, but I feel sorry for them a little bit because they are needed. They are a great team. And Iowa is Newgarden's track, so to speak. So maybe he'll bounce back.
I even think at this point, if Newgarden does bounce back, I mean, his season is so far in the dumpster. I'm not even sure it can rejuvenate that Penske team at all heading into the final races of 2025. I almost look at this season for Penske as almost a wash.
They're going to have to start over fresh next year. They were going to have to anyway after what happened at Indy and all the firings.
But do you guys remember one of the last times that Penske had a really bad season? They came back the next year and 2 or 3 drives, and they were just dominant. And
but
so
every time I can think of that they've had a bad season, they've come back the next year and we're the best team.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it does. It'll be interesting to see if everybody still has their ride of Penske and how it plays out.
Yeah, with the whole ride situation, I'm not really sure how they're going to play their cards because obviously it's not just a willpower problem. This is an organizational issue from that standpoint. So it would be really hard to kick him out of the car.
They're still
not
doing
knowing.
it. They're still doing it, Elijah.
You think he's out of the seat?
I think
for
he's
next
out.
year.
No doubt in my mind, he's gone.
I'm not too confident in that. I mean, he is their longest tenured race winner. I think he's still ahead of McLaughlin in the points, well ahead of Newgarden.
It's been 5 years since he's been a factor in anything.
I mean, in championship battles, I would say yes and no. He was obviously in there last year. If he didn't have a bad result at Nashville with the seatbelts coming off, he could have won the championship.
Well, I also think that it's awfully good to have willpower in the field because he always stirs up something, and this week it was in practice.
In the field somewhere. Yeah. I'm sure of that. I'm sure he'll be somewhere. I'm sure he'll be a sought-after free agent. I just don't think he'll be at Penske.
Greg and I talked about Rinus VeeKay earlier this week. How about him moving up from 20th, finishing in 9th place in a Dale Coyne car? Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's possible for Rinus VeeKay to be in the mention for maybe a Penske ride.
I feel like he should be at this point. The way he's delivering week in and week out for Dale Coyne, which no shade at Dale Coyne, they just don't have the pace, and they know that. But to see Rinus be up here in the top 10 almost week in and week out, it's super impressive what he's doing in 2025.
I would say the answer is no. Too many guys like Marcus Armstrong and guys in cars like that looking to move up to the top of the ranks. I don't think he's quite in that discussion. Maybe. But you talked about Foyt, Dave. We got to talk about Santino Ferrucci, and everybody loves him for the same reason that he is a problem. And he ran two different guys off the road completely today. Just completely ran them off the road, blocking them. And it even happens in practice with this guy. And again, that's the reason we kind of all love him, is he's so racy. But man,
that's why we like him. Is first of all, the 2 drivers with the least fear in this whole series are Santino Ferrucci and Takuma Sato.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought Ferrucci's move on Daly, though, that was really bad. And to only see him get penalized with 3 positions, I mean, that doesn't hurt his race at all, really. When he's running that far back with some of the back runners, he's going to be able to pass them quickly. And he just forced Connor Daly off the track. I mean, he forced Connor Daly off the track so hard that he went off the track himself. It's just almost unbelievable the things he does sometimes. But like you guys said, I mean, that is why he is one of the favorites in the IndyCar series. You don't see a lot of drivers who are going to do that.
According to IndyCar, the reason he wasn't penalized a drive-through or a lap, it was because that was not a place passes are often made, and that Daly's speed was unexpected because he had just come out of the pits, and he surprised Ferrucci.
Yeah, but you know what? The guys on TV didn't buy that. By the way they were talking, you could tell that they said becomes an every race occurrence with Ferrucci. So
absolutely,
that's nice on IndyCar's part to say that, but they were wrong. I agree with you, Elijah. And at what point does it happen that IndyCar has to step in and set him for a race or two? I mean, if he keeps doing this and getting away with it, that's just not right. I mean, there's a lot of money involved, and cars can get torn up with running guys off the road or injured. It's not like NASCAR where you had the bump and runs and they're going to bang on each other. Indy cars are there's no place in it. I know it makes for exciting racing, but it's no place in it for somebody to do it repeatedly, race after race after race.
I also think Santino could have made that corner with Daly side by side, but he ran really wide on that exit. I think he could have slowed up to, even though that's not a passing point, I still think those cars could have followed closely. And to Michelle's point, at what point is enough, especially with how racy he is? I think he can get away with being aggressive on these road courses because there is a runoff. Obviously, both cars were able to continue. But if you have racy incidents like this on a super speedway or a short oval, you're really looking at somebody getting seriously hurt then.
It kind of reminds me of Thomas Scheckter, although the difference being that everybody likes Ferrucci off the track, and he is actually usually apologetic about it. Thomas Scheckter didn't care what anybody thought of him.
That's a name out of the past, and you're absolutely correct on that.
He would just go in he did not care what anybody thought of him either.
Question though, does Foyt Racing keep him because he's popular?
I think they love
like
him.
That? Or
I think you keep him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they love him.
Yeah, absolutely. Foyt Racing and Ferrucci is I think, just a great match for Foyt and for Ferrucci.
And I think he's going to keep his seat for however long he wants at Foyt, as long as he continues with his success on the ovals and especially the 500.
As long as those don't result in a bunch of crashes. If he starts crashing out a lot, then you have no choice. But he has not. He's actually higher in the standings than Malukas, the golden boy.
And Santino has been really, really aggressive on the ovals, and I'd be interested to see what those Foyt cars can do headed up to Iowa here next week. I'm seeing how aggressive they're going to be. It's definitely going to be interesting.
Great part of the schedule right now, Dave. Races every single week. We got a couple of ovals coming up. It's a good time to be an IndyCar fan right now.
I am really looking forward to Iowa because it's not just one race. It's two races. And it is a short oval. It is a really short oval. And strange things have happened there. And it's just good racing. And I've always liked Iowa.
And Michelle, it's also a track where Josef Newgarden has completely dominated, just like St. Louis. It's a track where Penske has dominated. Will Power's been great there. It'll be really interesting to see what Penske has this coming weekend.
You know, it will be interesting. And if it doesn't go well, if Newgarden's bad luck continues, if Penske's bad luck continues, I think you just have to wonder. If that happens, you just kind of have to wonder where they are as an organization from the top down. I mean, now maybe just under Roger, and maybe now as he's gotten older and with having the Motor Speedway and running in all of that, and his NASCAR teams, has he overextended himself to the point where he thought he had everybody right in place under him and both racing organizations, and maybe he's gotten a little lackadaisical with overseeing?
I think that it's just been a bad season, especially having to fire all those guys during Indy. Elijah, your final thoughts about Dixon's win, about Palou's mistake, and about the series heading into Iowa?
Dixon, 21 seasons with the win is just mind-blowing. I'm not sure there's going to be another IndyCar driver with that stat next to their name. He is just one of the series' greatest. And heading into Iowa next week, I'm a little curious how the racing is going to be. Ever since NASCAR did that repave 2 years ago, it's been hard to see guys go to the outside of the track. I heard some mixed reviews from drivers who tested there last week saying, we could have a really good race, or it could be kind of follow the leader. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But anytime IndyCar's on a short oval, it tends to provide great entertainment.
Thanks, everyone. Fun race. Even when it looked like we were headed for a boring race with Alex Palou dominating from start to finish again, IndyCar this year just never lets us down. Race to race, it's been fantastic all season. Thank you so much to Elijah for his insights and coming on here with his reaction, and to Dave, Heather, and Michelle for joining us. Always love having them. And thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us continue to grow and thrive, you can do that by sharing the Central Indiana Sports Report with your friends and family and your enemies and strangers, anybody who you think might like a good sports podcast. This was a good one. Our new format. Really liked it, Sue. Think people are going to like it. Please share, please share, please share. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.